Hello, my name is Eric Lamb, and I am a retired detective from the Salem Police Department. During my time as a detective, I handled literally hundreds of investigations. Some of the most difficult investigations that I was involved with was investigating sexual assaults. These cases were often stressful, challenging, and honestly very emotional. These cases, you had to work directly with victims and hear their stories about what had happened to them. The working with these, and often many of these cases involve children, you would have to have them interviewed and tell their story about what happened. Fortunately, at the time of this investigation that we were working with, we were able to use the Child Advocacy Center. It's a fabulous resource that we had that had trained forensic interviewers to help us to interview victims of sexual assault cases. The important part of this advocacy center was that they could video and audio tape the interview without the child or the victim getting impacted by that, because it was done with a camera. They knew it was happening, but the camera was not really visible, and it made it a lot easier for them to tell their stories. It also allowed us, the police department, the county attorney's office, people from child services would also be in another room watching these interviews, so that they could pipe in questions if they had, and the interview could be done professionally, cover all of our bases, and hopefully just done once, so this victim would not have to tell their story over and over and over again. Because it is true that if they have to continue to tell their story over and over and over again, it really is re-victimizing them, and that's not fair. But anyway, the case that we were talking about, it involved the young lady Melanie, and she was very young at the time, 12 years old, when unfortunately she was assaulted. I'll jump back a little bit and talk about my experience with victims and seeing them after the assaults, or after their cases had gone through the court system. Some victims really struggled with what happened to them. Some of them were re-victimized. Some of them couldn't handle or kind of adjust to the past, and they chose to maybe go down the road of alcohol or drug abuse. And sometimes I would see those victims again in our own booking room after being arrested. And it really was, it was heart-wrenching to see that, because I knew that they were impacted so much by their assault that they had a hard time moving on in life. And that was really difficult to see. However, on the other hand, there were some victims who really took on a difficult time in their lives and somehow made it positive, and made it that energy to move forward and to do great things, to kind of inspire them, to make them motivated to thrive instead of being dragged down by that event or that assault. And the person that I think you've already met or know, or you're hopefully going to meet, is Melanie. She was the victim in that case when she was 12 years old. And from that point on, I was able to keep in touch with her, keep in touch with her family. Her mother is an awesome lady, great support system for Melanie, and continued to reach out for me on occasion to give me updates on how Melanie was doing. I know initially it was very difficult for her. I know she went through some very challenging times and struggled with what had happened, and that's completely normal. But the positive is, eventually she was able to move on, and it inspired her to go into the field of interviewing children in the involved with being victims of sexual assaults. So she's doing that as a job right now, and I'm very proud of her. She is also getting out and speaking publicly about what has happened to her, because that helps other victims to feel empowered to talk about what happened to them. As we all know, many victims never talk about it. Some even suppress the memories of what had happened to the point that they don't ever want to talk about it. And unfortunately, the suspects in those cases, or their perpetrator, is able to probably go on and do this again. So people like Melanie are really important to our society, to make sure that doesn't happen. So proud of what Melanie's done. A small highlight to that is when she went to college, we continued to keep in touch with her and her mom, and we're actually so proud of what she was doing, and how she had strong goals and motivations to do all those right things in society, that we actually were able to put her in for a scholarship that was in memory of my brother, who passed away at a young age. And we were able to help her a little bit with her college, and she continued on, graduated, and is doing great. I've seen so many victims later on in life where I run into them at the grocery store, or at the mall or something, and I just see it in their eyes how they continue to struggle every day with what happened to them, and they're really having a hard time moving on productively in life. But I'm also glad to say that there are many, many victims who do move on and do great things, and that Melanie is an example of that. She has done amazing things. She's going to do a presentation for you if you haven't already seen it, and you will be amazed at how this young woman has taken this event and turned it into a positive. I'll close right now and just say, please listen to Melanie's message. It's important. It's real life, and she's done a great job in helping victims of sexual assault by working really hard with them to support them and to give them a reason to move on in life.